everyone. I'm Kyle Maxey, editor at engineering.com. Welcome to the webinar, Searching Effectively in Vault. On the line with me today is our presenter, Caleb Funk of IMAGINiT Technologies. Over the course of his career, Caleb has trained more than 1,000 people in various CAD software and authored several educational white papers. Today, he'll be lending us his knowledge about Autodesk Vault and teaching us how to use the software efficiently and effectively. So without further ado, Caleb, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and show my screen. So very good. Hey everybody, my name is Caleb Funk, and I'm one of the team managers for manufacturing services with IMAGINiT. And I was approached a while back about doing a webcast like this, and I kind of talked to some of the different team members that I have, talked to some different people, said, what's a good topic? What's a thing that comes up a lot with Vault? Maybe not something super technical where we get into setting SQL and things like that, but more along the lines of everyday users. And one thing that came up was this idea of searching effectively, right? Really getting in there and understanding what's going on with Vault, seeing how we can access this a little better. So that's what we're going to take a look at today. Now, I'm with IMAGINiT Technologies. IMAGINiT is part of RAND Worldwide. We're one of three divisions of that. And we work specifically with the Autodesk products, which is why I'm talking about Autodesk Vault today. So we do have some other tools as well. We do a lot of professional services, which is the division I'm part of, training. Kyle mentioned the number of people that I've trained over my lifetime, and it's been quite a few. I don't do training as much anymore. I do a lot more of what we're doing right now. We do have a division that deals with Dassault products, and then we have the Ascent division. And if you were one of the 1,000 people to take a training class with me, you did it on Ascent books. So we write our own books and that are part of the training. And then we're spread all throughout North America. Good through the East Coast, quite a bit there. It gets a little thinner as the population starts to fade as we go out west, but we're also up into Canada as well. Now, I mentioned that I have been with IMAGINiT for a while, and it's been several years. So just a little bit about me. I am a solutions team manager here with IMAGINiT. I do focus almost entirely on the manufacturing software and data management. And as I was looking through this, it's been 19 years now that I've been with IMAGINiT. So I tried to find a representative picture of what I might have looked like on my first day. And I've been with IMAGINiT long enough now that acid wash jeans were cool for the first time, if that gives you any indication. Before we get too deep into this, I do want to know a little bit about you. So got a little bit about me, but I'm curious a little bit about the users who are out there. So what I want to do is we're going to pull up a poll, and I'm just kind of curious what version of Vault that is currently being used. So if you would, the poll should be coming up there. Kyle said he'd bring that up for me, and
Yep,
we'll take a look at that.
So the poll reads, what version of Vault are you using today? Basic Vault, Vault Workgroup, or Vault Professional? All right, a couple more seconds. I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. All right. So the results we have are Basic Vault came in with 33%, Vault Workgroup with 6%, and Vault Professional at 61%.
Wow, that is fascinating. So I'm surprised Workgroup was underrepresented there. So the Professional is, by and large, I would have figured that'd be 40, not 60, but yeah, it's really interesting. It's part of the reason I did that. I was just curious. So yeah, we at IMAGINiT, we do about, I don't know, let's call it 50 to 75 Vault implementations every single year, and a large portion of those are going to be along the lines of the Vault Professional. That's great feedback. Appreciate that. So what I want to do is talk a couple of things about search within Vault, and the first one is just why search within Vault is so powerful, and the reason that that we would want to spend some time kind of understanding this. And part of the reason is that Vault is really made up of two components. There's the file store, which is every single file that you have in Vault. And if you're using if you used a Windows server in the past, it's really just a file store. It's just the files that are sitting there. It's just that information. What Vault does is it combines that file store with a database. And the database engine that's being used is SQL, and that contains all of the metadata about the files in the vault. So metadata is just data about data. It's really just that extended information that we can go look for, job number, part number, whatever it would be. And it's that separation, it's that division of labor, that separation of tasks is what makes Vault searching so powerful. We're not searching just the files. We're not digging through the file store for information. What we're doing is we're using the SQL database to query that information. And that is a big, big difference with how that's going to go through. So one of the things we need to do to be able to search really effectively in Vault is to load that database up. And this is one of these things, it might be common knowledge, maybe it's brand new to you, but I just want to make sure you're aware of it as we take a look. And that's the idea of where do we get that information from? And one of the most common ways that we get information that we're going to search on is data from CAD files. Now, if you're using Inventor, which is a really common tool that's used with Vault Professional, it's typically going to be the file properties. If you're using AutoCAD, it could be from an attributed title block. We could go to the title block and extract attributes from that information. I'll point out later, you can also just search text information right in the file itself. The searches take longer, there's more to it. So as much as we can, we want to be able to extract this information from the file properties or the title block. So these properties, we can have them configured in CAD, and we can link them to the Vault properties. And that is probably the most common thing that goes on. You could also set up properties that are Vault-only properties. They do not have to be present in the CAD file. And we can use those to go to tag information essentially within Vault. So properties are really where it's at. Typically, we're going to pull them from the CAD file. If you are not filling out all of this information, part number, stock number, whatever it would be, if you're not taking the time to fill that out, you're really bypassing an opportunity to be able to search on it later. So we want to be able to have the information in the file so we can search on it later. Now, I mentioned so many of this is pulled from the file. Some of these are defaults. For instance, part number, description, designer, those are already set up within Vault and they're automatically going to map to it. So most of the time, if I'm filling out, the stock number is down there as well, but it's blank. I've got stock number at the left and stock number at the right. Project. Got project at the left and project at the right. So again, this is information I could fill out in Inventor, and it will automatically, with no additional effort, be mapped right into the Vault. You could go a step further and create some custom properties. And if you go through and set up the custom properties, then you can map those into the Vault. And if you set those up and link those together and map them out, they're going to be searched the same way as standard properties. So I've got one called component category. I've got one called job number that I kind of set up. And these are just some examples. They can really be anything, and there's no limit on the number of custom properties that you want to set up. To be able to search on them, we do have to map them in Vault, but I just want to mention that and point that out there. Okay, so if you've set all of this up and we've got information to search on, the next big thing is actually going into Vault and searching. And there are 3 different levels of search. And I'm going to kind of point these out and spend a little bit of time going through what each one of them does and how it works a little bit within here. The first one is the most common one everybody uses. Quick search. Go look for stuff. Quick search is going to look across every single property. So all of those properties that we saw, project, designer, whatever it is, it's going to look across all of them. Quick search works. It works really well. It particularly works if you already know the file name or a specifically named property that you want to go search for and you want to go look at. So it looks across all properties and it looks in the current subfolders. There's also a query builder that we can use to search specific properties. And to me, that's kind of level 2 of search. I honestly usually skip it and go right to level 3, which is the advanced search. And we can put in a lot of different search criteria and we can include Booleans. I'll get into Booleans here in just a minute. But what I do want to do right now, instead of taking a look at a PowerPoint for the rest of the day, is let's get in here and I want to take a look at Vault specifically. So I'm going to pull up my Vault. And Kyle, you should be able to see my Vault right now. I have that up on the screen.
Yes, I can now.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so I've got my Vault up, and what I want to do is go through some of those different searches. So if you take a look, I've got this Project Explorer. Now, let me take that back. Project Explorer is my top level. That's why I'm going to click on that, and you'll notice it says Search Project Explorer. If you take a look, as I click on different folders, it's going to search that folder. It'll search that folder and any subfolders. So if I click Project Explorer, I am now going to search the entire Vault for whatever I put into this quick search. And I'm just going to type 321, and boom, it searches through and it found that information for me. And it finds it very quickly. What it's doing is it's looking everywhere for that particular information. I'm going to do that again. I'm just going to type in the word steel. So whereas before we saw that information that was already in and it was placed into, it was part of the file name, here when I put in steel, steel does not show up in the file name. What it's looking for is it's looking over here at the material. So it's able to find that information in any property that I specify. So while this is useful, sometimes it's not, because I might get something fed back to me. I'm just going to type 09 here, and things are going to show up. It's picking up any 09 anywhere. I have to find it down here in the part number. Like maybe I was looking for a part name that had 09, and it shows up down here, 55, and it found this printer casing. You know, why in the world? Where'd 55 come up for that one? And I don't really know. I mean, it's great that it found it. Oh, it's part of the part number. It's great that it found it, but it's as it's looking for it, I don't know where it's looking. So I want to go to my query builder. I want to go to kind of that next level of search. And this follows the same rules. You notice Project Explorer is listed here. Now Car Seat is listed here. Now Inkjet is listed here. That's the folder it's going to search in. It's going to search there, and it's going to search down. You know what? I went too quick. I'm going to jump back one step. I want to look at one other thing, which is with this search tool that I have here. And again, this searches all the properties, looking in my current folder and down. But if I go here and take a look, I've got search subfolders checked. That is something you might want to be aware of. You can uncheck that. It's going to be checked by default. But if you leave that checked, it's going to look through this and all subfolders. That's usually how I want to search for something. I want to look through this one and then all the subfolders as well. I also have a list of recent searches that I could go take a look at. So this is all of the most recent searches that I have gone through, and I'll actually pull some of these up and look for some of them later. But we'll see that's anything I've typed in recently, and I think it's the last 10 that it'll hold in there. I also have an option to search file content. And what that will do is that it'll go through and not only look at the properties and file name and everything, but it will look into PDF files, Word files, and AutoCAD files, looking for specific phrases, numbers, whatever I'm putting in there. Those searches can take a while, but we do have the option to go search for file content. So we've got the little search tool that searches in our current folder and down, and then we've got the other options that are here off that drop down arrow. Then I've got this little chevron that drops down, and here I've got the query builder. So I can search for multiple properties, or I can go look at a specific property. So for instance, I'm going to go look for material, and I'm going to type steel. And this is just a search I could run right now. I could say, hey, let's go ahead and search, and it finds the information. Maybe I want to be a little more specific. I'm looking for something that is steel, and then I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to say file name. So I'll give it, my file name is front. So now I've got a smaller set that it just searched for. Um, it has that information built into it, right? So it's looking for some of those pieces. And then maybe I want to go a little further and I want to go find something else, cost, job number, part number, any of that information. So this is searching the different queries. It's looking through the different fields, and it's looking specifically at the material field, specifically at the name field, and it has to match both of those criteria for it to show up here. I can clear the whole thing out. I can say, nope, go away, and let's build another one. And I can add in different criteria. Maybe I want to include, what's a really common one? We'll say part number. I'll go down here and find part number. So now I can search on material, part number, file name, and author. So I've got and I can remove those from that query builder as well. So you can go through and create all of these different queries and look for different items like that. This is okay. It's definitely more powerful than the basic search we have. Basic search always looks across everything. Has similar options, my recent searches, my file content, my different items like that. But what I prefer to that one, I'm going to kind of jump right over that step, and I'm going to go over here to my find. This is my advanced search. And Control F will bring that up. There's a couple different ways that we can just pop to that and bring that up. I'll go ahead and bring it up here, and I'll say I'm going to go with, and I can say material. So I'm just going to do that search for steel like I did a moment ago, but now I've got a whole lot of options. I can say contains, does not contain, is empty, is not empty, is. I can say I need to see say something specifically. This is a really, really useful tool to be able to set this up. So I can say contains steel, and now I can go along just kind of like I did before. Okay, it's going to be steel, but then the file name, and then I'll be able to pull that up. Contains front. So really this is going to be the same search I ran just a moment ago, and it finds that information as part of it. So the thing that I like about this, I think this is much clearer what we're doing. I like the drop downs. I like that I can see it built up in front of me. It's a matter of personal preference. I mean, there's not a whole lot of rules necessarily associated with that, but that's definitely my preference. It has the options to search subfolders, and it can go through and look for that as well. So searching subfolders, all that's pretty important. But those, once you get into Vault, those are your 3 levels of search, being able to go through and look through that information. So we have the basic search, we have the query builder, and then you have, and you can do Control F, or you can go to find to get the advanced search, so you can go look for all of that information. Very powerful set of tools. So I'm going to jump back here to my PowerPoint and talk about something else that I have in here. And one thing that I was talking about just a moment ago was the idea of, we looked at the 3 levels of search that we have within here. And I mentioned some things such as Booleans. Sorry about that. I had to cough for a second, so I had to hit the mute. So taking a look at the Vault search. So I mentioned the idea of Booleans, but there's some other things that we can look for as well. And that's the idea of wildcards, the idea of tokens, and the idea of Boolean. So we've got a couple of different things that we can search for here as we're taking a look at this. So wildcards, this is something we should be pretty familiar with if you're taking a look at, anytime you've ever searched within Windows, anytime you've searched for any information like that. And it represents, we've got a couple different ones. You can have leading and trailing wildcards. So you can have the idea of the asterisk. right, which has been used forever just to represent the wildcard. We can search for anything and find that information. Then there's the idea, and I thought this was kind of cool. I haven't used this within Windows. It very well may work, but the question mark, just a single character within a string. So two different ways we can access that. One, we can look, for anything, or we've got then the single character. I'm going to combine that idea with the idea of tokens. Wildcards make sense. I mean, to me, that comes from Windows. It makes sense we could access that. Tokens, though, are going to be a little bit different. All of the data that is in here is broken up into these logical tokens. And this is really to improve search speed. So I'll give you some examples of some tokens here. But basically, it's all characters of the same type are grouped into a single token. So all alpha characters, all numeric characters, are special characters. And when we say special, it's those 6: $, dash, underscore, at, plus, or pound. All right, so it seems kind of weird, but let me give you some examples. If I've got a file name that is A-055401-321-IPT, what we have within here, that I have a token that is A. I've got a token that is dash. I've got a token that is 055401. I've got another dash, and then I've got 321. Great white shark would be 3 tokens. So I could search on great, I could search on white, I could search on shark. Actually, it's 4 because of the extension. But it will break it up into those different tokens. It's broken up by the space. Great work, XLS, is broken up into 4 tokens because GR, then a numeric, then alpha, then an extension. It sees it as broken up into those different tokens. So when I'm searching, and I'm going to bring up my Vault here just for a second, because I want to go back and use tokens to search. I did not know this for the longest time. And the way I would do a traditional search, if I were looking for A55401, I'm looking for this part number, I would do A-55401. Even if every part that I've ever had starts with A, I would usually start it like that, right? I would put that type of information in. And then I would maybe put a wildcard. I'm going to say, I don't remember the rest of it, but I know it's A55401, and then I'll put a star, and, goodness, now I'm having all kinds of trouble. Why in the world isn't that showing up? What's going on? Well, what I'm kind of doing here is I need to look at how these tokens are set up. It's really, it's because I didn't have my 0. But if I go in here and I say A-O55401 star, I can return that information. The trick is I don't have to put, a B snuck in there, even though I started it with A. Part of it is how these tokens work and where they search. I can just say A55401, and it's going to return all of those to me that match 55401. If I just search 321, it returns everything with a 321. I don't have to have the asterisks before and after it to find that, if it's its own separate component. So those tokens are broken up just like that. So here it found every time there was a token in here that ends up as a B. There's a B, that's a token. There's a B, that's a token. There's a B, there's a B. Right down the line. So it finds, there's a B that's bit in there, and I bet it's part of this. I have no idea where the B is in that one, probably somewhere over here in the different component. But it sees that as a separate token, and that is such a powerful idea. Just that part of the part number will return all of the information to me. Again, I'm not using wildcards. I'm not putting that information in. Now, wildcards are very powerful because I can go through and I'll do a wildcard search, or I'll say 0554 wildcard 1, and it returns to me this series where I've got 4 01s, 4 11s, and 4 21s. So I'm combining the idea of using a token with looking at all of that information. So it's really interesting how those are set up with that. We can, I forever was putting in lots of wildcards to go search for all that information. You don't have to. As long as your information is broken up into discrete chunks and you know what those are, the token is what's stored, and we can search for that. Even if I put in a wildcard, it's searching across the tokens and looking for all of the things that might match up to it. So you can actually have faster searches and more specific searches by using the idea of tokens and maybe just a few wildcards as opposed to needing to be like star 55 star, right? Which would work. I could look across everything for that information. Star 55 star. Okay, basically, just because the way I'm loaded up, I'm getting really the same info. So it's easy to set that up. Now, tokens are part of this. The idea of wildcards are part of this. And I mentioned one other piece as well. And the other piece that I mentioned was the idea of Boolean. So with Booleans, and these only work in the advanced search, those will be the advanced search that I'll use, and I can use them with a single search criteria. So Booleans are, and they're also case insensitive. And a Boolean is and, or not. So and, if I'm looking for Granny and Smith, the search has to have both of those words, both Granny and Smith. The one I think is kind of interesting is or. And this is something that I've looked for forever. For a long time, I thought, man, I want to be able to search for this part number or this part number. And there wasn't a good way to do that. There wasn't a good way to find that information. And not is the opposite. It'll search Granny, not Smith. So we can kind of do that in the advanced tab. We could say, we could exclude some things, but with this we can combine, which was kind of difficult to do. And this is one of those things that there's not a button, there's not a click, there's not a nothing. It just shows up. Let me give you a quick example of that and where that comes in. So it's literally just something we type. It's kind of a simple old school way of doing it. So if I go here to find, I'm going to search for the file name. Actually, I will do file extension. I'll do file name. And I'll say contains, and I'll say 55 or 321. That's it. That OR, and it doesn't have, remember, it's case insensitive. So it doesn't have to be uppercase. It can be uppercase or lowercase. But by including that, it's going to return to me a search that contains that information. I can say or. What I always assumed, and I'm just going to remove this search, I always assumed that if I said file name contains 55, file name contains 321, I kind of assumed I was searching, I could find a way to do an and search on these. Excuse me, an or search, it's any one of these. If I put them in order like this is always and. So we'll always find this as an and search. So and searches are easy to do. They're built into just by adding more criteria. If I say find 55, not 321, there's nothing that matches that search, right? So it says, nope, there's nothing that matches what you have. There's nothing in the file name that contains this and not this. So or works, and I can just come in here and replace it. And there's the ones that have that one or that one. So the Booleans allow you to really extend what you have and be able to do a fairly complex search to find that information. Now, one of the things, I'm building up these fairly complex searches, right? And I'm going through and digging this information out. So it might be painful if every single time I ran one of these searches and came up with this great, complex search and I'm looking for something, it might be kind of a pain if I couldn't save that in some way. So this is my other kind of big tip when it comes to searching. We can do all these searches. We've got really powerful ways of doing it. Once you have some searches, you can save them. And you can save them as a named search. You can save them as a search folder. And I typically like to save them as search folders. It's probably my favorite way of doing it. But it's really common that we can save it a couple different ways. And I want to go through and point a few of these out. Here's a couple things. The search folders do not contain the files. They're really only links pointing to files. So it's not like I create a folder and I'm moving things around within Vault. That's not the case at all. It's just linking that together. It's just saying, hey, this is a search I ran, and here it is. The search folders are dynamic. Each time I click on the folder, it reruns the search. So it's not like it's a one-shot deal. I ran it at noon on Tuesday, and that's what it looked like. And every time I click in the folder, it shows me what that search looked like at noon on Tuesday. This is going to be a search that reruns every single time. So each time I click the folder, I get a new return of results. So there's some of these. This is when I work with clients, this is something I'll tell them, gosh, set these up. There's some really useful things you can do. So you could do, for instance, checked out to me. I could go find all the files checked out to me. I could look for files checked out to a particular team member or team members. I could say, hey, look for files checked out to this person, or this person. I could look for maybe a particular project number or job number, and I want to constantly be able to run a quick search and see all the information related to that. I want to see the files that are in there. Maybe I could run one to see what lifecycle state they're in. So let's take a quick look at what that search folder information looks like and kind of how we can save those and set those up. Jump back over here. So here I am within Vault, and I've got this set up, and I'm taking a look within Vault and the information here. And I've got a couple options, and one of them is simply to save this search. And I'll go ahead and save this. So when I save this search, and I'll pull this up and I'll save it, I'm not going to save it as a folder initially, just to show you kind of what that looks like. And the name does not matter. It could be red beans and rice. It doesn't matter. I'll just save that search. We'll kill that. And I do have, I'm actually going to kill a couple of these just so I can rebuild them. I've got some search folders over here, and I'll point some of that out and how some of those work. So I saved one search, but I did not save it as a folder. I'm going to go ahead and go back here to my find. And I can go ahead and open those searches. And there's the search. It gives me the names that I have there. So I can open that up, and it reruns the search for me. That saved search name is kind of useful because if I can go find that, I can pull it up, and I can use it again and again. So I can come along and open that up and rerun that search as part of that. What I'm going to do is do another quick search here. So we'll say, all right, we're going to look in anywhere in the Vault, and I'm going to look for, I'll do the material contained, we'll do checked out by, because this is a super common one. So I'm going to see what files I have checked out to me. So checked out by is just a Vault attribute that I have in here. I'll say checked out by, and my login name will go in here. And right now I'm logged in as administrator. So I'll say checked out by administrator, go find it. And sure enough, I've got a couple of files checked out to me. And I'm going to go ahead and save this, and this time I'm going to save it as a folder. And I'm just going to say checked out to me. So now, if I were to go check out another folder, and I'm just going to go get one here real quick, I'll say check that one out. And I look at that search, it immediately shows up in that search. This gives me an understanding of all the files that are currently checked out to me. I'll just go check out another one, just so I have it. Pick on that folder. the search immediately reruns. So I've got that search that's saved there with all of that information in it. And such a great way to go find information quickly, standard things that I'm looking for again and again. I'm just going to type the word steel in here, not even in the advanced tab, and it finds all these things that have steel somewhere in them. Typically it's as a material. And I'll look at that, and look, I've got Save Search right here. So just like I do in that advanced tab, I've got Save Search right here. So I'm going to go in, and I'm going to say, well, we'll just call this one steel. So now I've got, there's my checked out to me, there's my steel. I can go find that information really, really quickly. So anywhere that I run a search, I can save them and bring them up later. I'm going to go ahead and bring up that find bar that I have right there. And I just want to point out that I can come along under File in here. I can manage saved searches. So these are all of the saved searches that I have. And I could come back and say, go ahead and, let's create a folder for that one. And it just pulls the folder up and creates it. I go back to File. I can manage my saved searches. And steel in that, I'm going to turn the folders off for and only leave checked out to me. So it's pretty easy to create those and to manage those different searches so that we can have a whole series of those. Just as a quick, idea, I can come along and I could search for things. I'll do date file created, and I'm going to give this a little more criteria. Dates, by the way, have slightly different criteria than we see with other things. I can say it is before, on or before, yesterday, today. I don't know how you look for a file that's created tomorrow, but it's in there. I'm going to go ahead and say last week. Actually, I'm going to say last 7 days. That'll just give me a rolling amount. And we'll say, created by administrator. And this just gives me a rolling count of the files created by me over a specific period of time. And so it's kind of an interesting thing. Checked in. Oh, no, I want to say checked in by contains me. So it'll give us the sense of these files were created in these last number of days. Created by administrator. So it has to match. So currently I don't have anything in the last 7 days created by me. So it's created by administrator in the last 7 days. But that's a pretty interesting search. I'm going to go ahead and just save that one so that I can pull that up later and dig into those. And again, I saved it as a folder. I can go easily find it, and I've got that information. So those levels of search, being able to do the quick search, being able to do the query builder, being able to do the find, all of them respond to tokens. And tokens are just the way that Vault splits up file names. So that 055401 is exactly the same as if I'd put in the asterisk to look for that information. It's ignoring everything preceding it because it's split up by those differentials. That's going through there. I can use that information also with the idea of a wildcard to get even more get more information out of it. I can go find and I can look for any property that I want and include Booleans within there. So in my case, I'll look for material and I'll say steel or plastic, and now it's going to be anything that matches either of those criteria. No matter how I create a search, whether I'm creating it through the quick search, whether I'm creating it with the wildcards, whether I'm creating it with the additional information, I can take that and I can save those searches, and then I can come back and I can manage those. This is kind of a deep dive into the different searches that we have in Vault. And I think this is something that it's easy to figure out, like, oh, hey, look, I can search. But then to be able to really get what you want, being able to leverage these different ideas, the tokens, the wildcards, the Booleans, and the 3 different levels of search is really, really very powerful. There's lots more we can get into, the idea of how to grab one of your own files, add custom properties, map those properties to Vault. creating vault properties and tagging things. There's a lot of different pieces to that. But what I want to do for right now is I'm going to pause here for a second, and I want to kind of open it up to the idea of just some questions and answers and see if any. I've been talking a lot, so I'm going to give you guys a chance to share any questions that have come up as I've been going along and doing this. So Kyle, I don't know if any have come in.
Yeah, we've got a couple in right now. Can you show how to map custom properties from the model and inventor to Vault?
I can, and I'll do a really, really quick version of that. So this can get super complicated. We can go super deep into it, but I'll do the about 3-minute version of that. So what I'm going to do is I'll grab.
Caleb, is it possible that you could also increase your microphone volume?
I don't know if I can. It's I'm going to move it. I'll tell you what. How about an adjustment? We'll see if that changes anything. Because since I can't hear my microphone volume, I turned it up on my phone. That's about the best I can probably do. So we'll see if that helps.
Okay, that'll work.
Okay. Go ahead. Pause the screen for a second. So I'll grab my inventor. Hey, what? Now let's come back to that one if there's another one, and I will pull up my inventor while we're doing it.
We have one other question. It's a real quick question. So of the functionalities that you've been showing in your presentation so far, how many of them are actually included in a basic Vault subscription?
All of them. So every search that I did, I have done the one that would be different. I will take that back. The one that wouldn't be searching. No, it was checked out by. Yeah, every search that I did, every single search that I looked up, all of that is included with Vault Basic.
Okay. Hey, Caleb, you sound a little bit far away right now from the microphone. Let's see. Hold on. Just give me a quick sound check.
You bet. Tell me if it's any different. I moved my mic a little bit. I don't know if that.
You sound like you're a little bit far away from the mic. Maybe the original position was best.
Okay. I will try that. I think that's closer to where it was originally. I don't know if that's any better.
That's much better. Thank you.
Huh. Okay. Well, good to know. Okay. So yeah, everything that I was doing is part of Vault Basic. And there's nothing fancy special about the search. All of the 3 levels of Vault use the SQL database as an underlying tool, and so all of those searches are possible through this. I don't think there was a single thing I did, because everything I searched for would have been items that are available within Vault Basic, parts of it. So that's one reason I thought this was kind of a fun webcast to do. So often we get into these things like, oh, that's only available if this product or whatever else. If you're using Vault today, tools are. Okay, so I am going to show my screen real quick, and I've got Inventor up. I've got a part that's never been into Vault. So this is something that's been in, and I'm going to take a look at the property.
Caleb, I hate to break in one more time. The audio is actually breaking up quite a good deal, and the volume is actually quite low. It's very difficult to hear you.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, how was it throughout most of it? Was it a pretty good level throughout most of the webcast?
A couple of people had said that the volume was a little bit low, but I could hear you perfectly fine. Right now, I'm just getting a little bit of scratchiness. Thanks for bearing with us, everyone. Caleb, are you there? All right, everyone. It seems like we're experiencing a few technical difficulties right now. Just hold on for a minute. We'll try and get the audio back up. Thank you. We're trying to reconnect Caleb's audio, so just one more minute, please. Thank you, everyone. Hello? Hey, Caleb, is that you?
Yeah, I think so. I think we got that far.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, excellent. Everyone can hear you now. It sounds perfect. So I guess we can go ahead and resume.
I have no clue what happened to my phone. I didn't change it at all.
Hey,
Okay.
it happens sometimes.
So weird. All right, so these are the standard properties that we would have. Stock number, these are the ones that automatically map over to the vault. Sorry, let me hit play. Paused everything while I was panicking and running around my office trying to figure out what happened to my phone. So the standard properties are here. What I want to do is create a custom one, right? So I'll go ahead and what I want to do is come in, put in a custom property that's going to be part of this component. And actually, check this in real quick, and I'm going to check it back out. There we go. So that's the first step, is to have whatever custom properties I want to create put in over here on this side. And I'm going to put one called internal item number. I have no idea what this thing is. This is just something that I'm kind of making up that I know does not exist in Vault. And I'll say 11223344. There's my internal item number. This is the super important number that allows us to track all of these things that we have. Now I'm going to check this into the Vault. So it jumps over to the Vault. So it is in here, but it will not show up anywhere in Vault. And I have no idea where I put that part. Did I put it? Oh, here it is. So if I look, I don't have internal item number. It is not showing up. It is not part of this. It's not in here. Over on the Vault side is now where I need to set that information up. So I can take one of my options that I have over in Vault is I can go to my, I can begin working with the idea of setting up a specific list for that. So I have to take a look at my properties, and then I'll go into my properties and set that up. And I had actually gone through with someone I was working with, and we changed all of the menus that we have here. So I got to reset some toolbars real quick. That's what I want to see. So under administration, I've got my Vault settings that I can come into. And one of the things, and this is going to be true in basic, this is going to be true in professional, this is going to be true wherever, is the idea of properties.
and I can create a new one, internal item number. Now, the name I give it here doesn't matter really much at all. What's going to matter, the way that this is going to link to that, and it's going to understand that it's part of it, know how it fits together, is it's going to be by the idea of mapping, where I get to go, I'm going to go grab that inventor file that I have, and I'm going to import properties from it. So I can go right to that one that I have there, and I'm going to say, let's go grab those properties. It'll list every property that's on it, including the one I created called internal item number. I can set it up so that if I change it in the vault, it changes on the part, or if I change it on the part, it changes in the vault. I can control which direction that's going. And now those are mapped to each other. So now if I take a look at the properties that are on that, one of the properties that I can take a look at, and I'll just go select it here, is going to be internal item number. It's a new one that I've added. So we have to add it in Vault, and we have to add it in Inventor as well. So it has to be in both places, and now the internal item number is part of that, and it's in both locations. I'll just upgrade it there. Here we go. So that idea is, that's kind of the very, very quick version of that. Of course, we can give it a lot of thought, and you want to map out those properties, and there's different ways we'd want to set that up. But the idea of the internal item number, we can add that to the list by adding it first in Inventor and then mapping it to Vault. So that's kind of the quick version of that right there. And then, was there another question that I missed? I can't recall. Oh, yeah, we talked about the searches within Vault. Great. Are there any other questions that have come in?
Yeah, we've got another one. Can you search by keywords in the BOM of an assembly?
So the only way that we could search for keywords in the BOM would be we could search in the parts list by using that idea of searching file content. We also could just I can't pick an assembly and say search from here down. It'll search folders, but it won't understand the way those are linked together. So really the only way I could would be by searching file content. It's a great question. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, we've got one more. Is there an easy way to share searches without having to copy XML files?
Somebody's copied XML files. At this point, no. That's really what it comes down to. There's an XML file. I'm sure you found that deep in there. So it'd be great. I would love it if at an administrative level, I could say, here are the 5 searches our company uses. There is not at this point a way to do that. Now, I have seen in the App Store, in the Autodesk App Store, there have been a few things you could download occasionally that would assist with that. But by and large, the answer is no. And some of those I've had hit and miss with. So take a look. They're out there in the App Store. I can't remember what everyone is. I tend to just grab that XML file.
And one more question just came in. It's from Josh McBride. He wants to know, can you map a model? Or who can map a model? Is it all users or just an administrator?
It's just administrator. So that's an administrative level task. So you have to be able to get in there and work with the, all of the behaviors that are in there, and that's typically administrative level.
Okay, excellent. Do you have any more to do with your presentation, or should we just go ahead and jump into even more questions?
If there's more questions, we'll take them. I've basically shown what I want to show, and be glad to answer questions.
Okay, I've got another one. It says, what steps do you have to take to search AutoCAD title block attributes?
Oh, that is almost a webcast unto itself. So it's quite a bit. Essentially what you can do is it's all done at the Vault administrator side. It's all done at the server level. You can tell the server which title blocks you're going to search for. So essentially you put a version of it into Vault. You say, take a look at this DWG, find the block name. You're now going to search on that. Then you do the mapping tool, kind of like I did just a moment ago, where you can go map the properties to match up to title block attributes. So it's extensive is what it comes down to. It's definitely something that it's not a quick, hey, let me show you this. It's quite a few different pieces. So the basic answer is you have to index the title block at the server level. Then you have to set up the properties to map to the title block. So, it's a multi-step process. It's kind of nice because once it's done, it'll pull the information right off of those attributes. One thing you kind of have to look out for is I've had, we've talked to customers and said, yeah, we definitely want to do this. And they've got 20 years worth of drawings. Well, that title block name has changed 3 times and they didn't use attributes at first, and then they used these 5 attributes, and then they renamed all of them, and then that one time they just completely redid everything. So you could search for every single iteration of that. It's just something to consider and take a look at. But yeah, it's quite a bit. Basic level, we have to index it at the server, map it through the client, and then use AutoCAD to put we can link them in through AutoCAD and go from there.
Okay. Can you search properties on other file types other than CAD files through Vault?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's 2 things to that. Yes, we can definitely search those properties. So the CAD files have the most properties, right? Because Inventor has these I properties, and we can index those title blocks and search for those. So there's a lot of information that we can pull in from that, and that works really well. However, if we want to go another way, if we want to take a look at a PDF file, let's say. A PDF file has very, very few properties automatically loaded into Vault. However, I can use that properties grid and fill out information about it. I can create new properties and fill out information about it, and all of that is searchable. The file name is always searchable, right? That's a simple property that's part of it. That's a simple one that's in there. But yes, short answer is yes. Long answer is we may need to add some extra properties to them, but you totally can.
Excellent. I think we have time for one more question.
Cool.
And will Vault handle sub-revisions of files? And can it search through, I guess, revisions of files? Like, if you have a file that's A1 or A2 or file 1.1 or 1.2, can it distinguish between different revisions in files?
Yeah, you did. So I'll be cautious here because Vault Workgroup and Professional can, so we can have different revisions on files. I could create a search that says find file name is this and revision level is X. Yes, you definitely can do that. And we can go search for different information on different revision levels. So absolutely. As long as it's Workgroup or Professional, Vault Basic does not have any revisioning or understand any revision.
Okay, excellent. Well, I think that's going to be it for today, but thank you, Caleb, and thanks to the audience for joining us. If you came in late, don't worry. We're going to have a recording of this webinar up on engineering.com shortly. Take care, everyone, and see you soon.
All right. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you. Bye.